Hi guys, just got back from my locals and I decided to do a deck profile for this particular list because I find it's kind of cool. It's in the spirit of the OCG 2004 format that was basically featured on the Master Duels. Basically, it's a tryout duels, and you're able to play with the custom band list that they had on the website. However, this is going to be an Edison deck profile, so I decided to take a spin on the deck that I had on the Master Duels tryout duels, which was the 2004 OCG, and I decided to just try to put my own spin on it using the Edison cards that were available. So this is also in spirit to Oscar Ruano, who got first place at RBT. So congratulations to him. This deck is very similar to Diva Heroes. However, I incorporated a Frog Monarch engine, so you guys will see in a minute. So the thing that I found with this deck is that I found it to be more aggressive than the Frog variants. So usually Monarchs nowadays, especially the other Monarchs that we want to talk about, like Ryzas, Mobius, and Ryzas, Mobius, and the Stalos aren't very used very often in Edison format. So I want to be able to incorporate those monarchs as well. And I find that the traditional Frog Monarch lists that we used to use back in the day, even with Light and Darkness Dragon, have gone away. But I'm kind of trying to bring it back with this particular profile because I want to share my ideas. Going forward, I also want to incorporate more prototypes in my deck profiles. I noticed that I've kind of had a issue with barriers to entry, where decks have to perform well in a tournament, and I find that that could be a very bleak view of trying to do deck profiles. So going forward, I think I'm going to go start doing demonstrating prototypes as opposed to actually showing like first place deck profiles that do well at locals, because I find that those decks are usually, I mean, there's a lot of things that could happen. The first thing is matchups. The matchup brackets. You can have really good matchup brackets, and and play like the worst deck ever and still be able to win. And then while on the other hand, you can have a really well defined prototype deck and take it to a tournament at a locals, and then play either your worst matchups, or you play against matchups that are like meant to like kill you in the first few turns, like Light Sworn, for example, or any combo deck like Norlaris or Fish OTK, whatever it is. Those decks typically kind of skew the data a lot, so I want to make sure that I can present the prototype so that I can contribute to the diversity of competitive Edison, because that's kind of what my channel is for, is by introducing text for each format, as well as not just Edison but other formats as well, going forward for retro. Okay, so I'm gonna go into the deck file. I know that was a long intro, and I want to show you guys this deck because I think it's a really cool innovation, especially since Royal Oppression is now going to be used more often because of the advent of Forgs as well as Gigavice. Those two combo decks being in the format means that the format can be more combo oriented, and the fact that Diva Hero, which is kind of a combo deck if you guys can kind of think about it, relies on the combos to be able to be utilized pretty well. So main deck devastation virus might go away, and if those main deck devastation virus goes away, then that means that more people are going to be on oppression as opposed to those two cards, as opposed to the other card. And because of that, the meta is going to shift a little bit, and if it shifts a bit, where oppression goes back in the main deck, I think decks like what the prototype that I'm about to introduce should do pretty well into the metagame. So yeah, let's just go right into the deck profile. Like I said before, in the spirit of RBT winner Diva Hero being able to win, I decided to play the Stratos. The Stratos is a really good +1 engine. We all know how it is. But the reason I use Stratos is to be able to tutor cards like where is it? Tutor cards like Prodigy. Prodigy being in the main deck is really cool because I do main deck cards to stop the combo powers, the combo decks that can pop off on literally the first turn. If you're lucky enough to go second, or if you're lucky enough to go first against a combo deck, Prodigy allows you to establish the first turn Vanity's Fiend. I'll just show you guys right away. The first turn Vanity's Fiend allows you to essentially lock out your opponents from playing the game, especially if they're playing a combo deck. And so if you incorporate sort of like a possibility where you're able to go first turn Vanity's Fiend, I think that can be a good leverage for you going forward if you do go first against a combo deck. Another thing about combo decks in Edison format is that they're kind of inconsistent because they do have to draw their combo pieces, and so even if you do go second against a combo deck, there's a possibility that you can first turn Vanity's Fiend them in game one, and so stealing game one will be pretty crucial, especially when you're playing against combo, because if they go first on the second game, then you can have at least some sort of sideboard plan to stop them from basically popping off. And I'm gonna say that the name of that card, it's gonna be DD Crow. So because it's a hand trap, and DD Crow is not really effective against most of the decks, especially against Blackwings. Main decking it doesn't seem very practical, so I decided to main deck the Vanity's Fiend in that event. So yeah, I decided to do this little stun package, but this is a really great engine because they're heroes and they are able to put themselves on the board for free, except for Shadows, and then allow you to tribute summon right away. I also play the other Monarchs, so because I'm playing the other Monarchs, it allows me to like kind of push a lot better. Let's just talk about the best ones. The best one's obviously Caius. We know how great Caius is already because Caius allows you to generate +1s, great against dark decks, which is Blackwings. Not much to say about that. And because I like the fact that this is a Monarch deck, you can be more aggressive with your Monarch pushes. You can summon Rises to start spinning away cards. And yeah, Rises has seen a lot less play because you don't want to put back cards to their top of their deck or extra deck cards. But for the most part, you do want to put cards back on top deck. It just depends on what those cards are. And if Royal Oppression is one of those cards you put back on people's top deck and they draw it again, they're pretty much sit back a turn. And another card, another one I played was Mobius. I just thought about playing a hero package because I need water types. So the Mobius allows me to access Absolute Zero in this deck. So it is a Monarch deck that allows you to access the Absolute Zero line. And that can be really useful because Miracle Fusion, we all know how great Miracle Fusion is. So being able to use Mobius with the Miracle Fusion deck is pretty cool because you can put more damage in faster. And yeah, and then let's go into the other engine. The other engines are the hand traps, the Battle Fader, the Trag, and the Gores. Just like a call for the traditional Frog Monarch list. Utilizing these three different hand traps allows you to stay in the game. Utilizing traps as well. And yeah, just really nice cards so that you can distribute 7 for one of your Monarchs and be more aggressive on the following turn. So yeah. The other cards I play for the engine is the Treeborn. So I played the Treeborn, the one. This used to be 2 when I was playing it at the locals that I played at Carfinity. But I decided that I didn't want to really draw into the second one. So I decided to play the 1 copy because I do play Future Fusion in this deck. And that allows me just to dump the Treeborn right away. So why don't I just play the Frog Engine? Well, the Frog Engine essentially is a defensive engine. And I find that if you're using the engine of the Frogs, you're essentially playing a slower game. And especially since the meta is kind of like evolved to be a little bit more faster, you want a solid game plan going, going first and second, and especially you want something that's faster. So unfortunately, the Dupe Frog log just doesn't cut it for this deck, and also there's space issues if you want to go for the full Monarch package. I decided to play the Spy Engine. The Spy Engine is pretty cool because it allows you to have a free tribute fodder. It's also a call to go format because Spy is like the OG way of getting tribute fodder, as well as walling off your opponent from like level 4s. Because a lot of level 4s have a less than 2,000 attack, so being able to have this to be able to block out attacks and then force trades is really nice. So yeah, that's really nice about Spy. Also, he's very aggressive. Spy is also a very aggressive card in Goat as well. If you flip Spy and then you get another Spy, you have 2,400 damage if you can find a way to get rid of the monster. So yeah, Spy is just so good in this deck. I would say, since I'm also playing the Krebons, another little wild little twist I decided to do. This is a call to a Teledad format, where if you have the emergency teleport, you're able to cheat out the Krebons and then either attack with it in the battle phase because it's a quick play spell card, and then after that you can synchro summon. That's a really cool thing about it. But if you just hard draw the Krebon, you can just normal summon it and then negate an attack, and then Krebon is a tribute fodder in some sense to wall off against decks that like to play the control package, to try to like play the biggest monster as quickly as possible. You could just negate with Krebons and then tribute summon for any sort of Monarch. Yeah, Krebons, this is a really cool card, being a tuner. You can use this in tandem with the Gravekeeper Spy here. It allows you to go into level 6 Synchros, and level 6 Synchros are really great in Edison format because you have Goyo Guardian access, whereas in other formats you do not. Yeah, pretty much it. I think that's all the monster lineup. Let's go into the spells and traps. Spells and traps, I played the feature fusion. I didn't play this in the locals, and I regretted it. One of the key aspect of this deck over the regular frogs is that you don't have to worry about locking out your Treeborn frogs, because there are other ways to special summon from your hand, like Prodigy or even Spy Fodder or E-Telly. You don't mind locking out your back row with Feature Fusion, and this is a really good card to dump the Treeborn Frog, as well as the other heroes. You can dump the Prodigy as well to the graveyard. It's just a really good card to. It's a Foolish Burial, but it's also a monster that can come out in 2 turns. So yeah, I definitely didn't play this card, and I regret not playing it. So this is really good for this particular list. And then we have the one E-Telly. Unfortunately, E-Telly is at 1 in this format, but it is a really good card to be able to cheat out Crebons and then being able to do synchro plays at will. So yeah, it's also a tribute fodder, so it allows you to just be more aggressive with your monarchs. Then we're gonna have and then also another reason why you play this is that it's almost like Prodigy in the sense that you can activate it, special summon a monster, and then tribute summon for Vanity's Fiend. So that's the key aspect of this deck. We also have the Heavy Storm, as well as the Brain Control. Brain Control allows you to steal people's monster. It's kind of the same concept, except if you're going second, you can ticket someone's monster. It's kind of like a Soul Control deck, because I also play the Soul Exchange. Because people have Raikos and Hamsters in their decks, or even Pyramid Turtle, in the tournament, I found that when I played against decks that played those 2 engine, I could just tribute off their set monster, not have to worry about it. And since I don't necessarily have to play I play other monarchs besides Caius and Rises, which force you to target a card and spin it. If your opponent just sets a monster, Soul Exchange is really useless. But since you're pairing this off with like Vanity's Fiend, you can Soul X a Raiko or a Hamster, and then trip summon for Vanity's Fiend, or even Mobius too. Those 2 cards are really great. In the side deck, I also play the Stalos. And so I don't main deck the Stalos because of the advent of Forgs and Gigavice. But because those 2 cards exist, I decided to side deck the Stalos. And then whenever I play against decks that normal summon a lot, I use Soul X into the Stalos line so I can then hit their follow-up play. So that's kind of the idea besides this deck. So it's kind of like a Soul Exchange deck that kind of went away with the advent of Edison format being more faster and stuff. So yeah, I'm going back to Soul Exchange, and I feel like this is a really good spell card going forward. And then, of course, we have the Miracle Fusion. I know that the hero line is very small. You only have the Prodigy, the 2 Prodigies and the Shadows, and nobody to search for them. But you also have Feature Fusion as well. So because you have that option, this card felt less dead. But it is a way for you to turbo it out. Sometimes I do want to cut, games 2 and 3, I do cut one out just so that I can have other options. But yeah, this is a really great engine to be able to push in more damage and also control the board. I think of Miracle Fusion, especially since you go into Absolute Zero, as a trap card, because if you have an Absolute Zero on the board, your opponent has to deal with the Absolute Zero and then try to OTK you, and that's really difficult to do. So that's why I think Absolute Zero is a great card. We don't know how great it is, but in this deck, it's even better because it acts like a Hero Frog deck in a sense that you're using Absolute Zero to try to buy another turn, but you also have other ways to summon monsters such as E-Telly that Hero Frogs doesn't offer in the same sense. And also it's more aggressive, and because this deck is more aggressive, you can end games a lot faster. And then the 1 MST. Yeah, not much to say. The spell cards are just helps you be more aggressive and control the board a lot better. Without actually, relying on normal summons. For the trap lineup, and I do play traps, one of the benefits of playing this version is that you get to play regular traps like Bottomless Trap Hole, Mirror Force, and Torrential. I know that Hero Frogs, or just Frogs in general, don't play Bottomless Trap Hole, but I think it's a shame that they don't play it, because it's a really good card against Black Whirlwind decks. If they summon Ashura under Black Whirlwind, you can Bottomless it. It's a really great trade card. And yeah, I just think it's a really good card that people don't play. And you don't really care about Raiko and Hamster popping this back row because you have Soul X, and then you can distribute away their set. So you can cover all your bases essentially, and that allows you to play the Bottomless. And you don't really care about losing your Treeborn because you have other tribute fodders besides Treeborn. So, as a prototype, with the side deck option, you can side deck continuous trap cards, and Frogs cannot ever do that, right? Because they need Treeborn access all the time. and because you have other tribute fodders, you can actually side deck into continuous trap cards. I personally haven't messed with the side deck too much, so you are only going to be seeing a kind of a limited sideboard. But in theory, you can side deck cards like Imperial Iron Wall, Master Restrict. I mean, that would hurt you, but you can go in the synchro lineup. So there's a lot of different continuous trap cards that I've been meaning to try out with this deck, such as Royal Oppression as well, because even though you do special summon sometimes, you don't necessarily have to. So imagine, frogs being able to play Oppression. I think that's a really, great option. I don't play it yet, but I just thought about it right now. And then the last trap is Dust Shoot, because Dust Shoot is a card that you can just use willy-nilly. Raigeki Break is a decent card, but I feel like Raigeki Break belongs to decks that are more control-y as opposed to this deck where it's more aggressive. Okay, so that was my main deck, exactly 40 cards, and I plan on messing with this deck more in the future. But for now, this is the prototype, and I invite anybody to try to improve it. Let's go into the extra deck. Extra deck, we have the 3 Absolute Zero. I don't play the Gaia because there's no Earth targets, so this allows you to essentially control the board like I said before, and then have more pressure. Okay, our level 8s are going to be Colossal Fighter, really good card, and we have our Stardust, and we have our Thought Roller. It's just regular level 8s. We also have our Dark End. That allows us to basically, combine this with Caius to be able to send set monsters, but even controlled boards as well. It's just really great. But make sure you use this effect on main phase 2 sometimes. You can attack over a monster with the 2600 base, and then use this effect in main phase 2 to send a monster. That's kind of what he's kind of for. Chimera Tech, because you play the Cyber Dragon in the side deck. A card that nobody plays in Frogs ever, or even Frog Monarch, is the Tempest Magician. I find that Tempest Magician is really good because sometimes you need the water monster in your hand to go to the graveyard. So you can just use Tempest Magician to send to the graveyard. Or you can send Dead Miracle Fusions and then burn them for 500 life points. So yeah, I mean, definitely a great card to end games quicker, and she's a spellcaster requirement, so there's that. The other ones I play, level 6, are pretty sparse. We do have the Bryanak, which is good. We have the Goyo Guardian, which is also good. We know how great he is. And then we have the Urquaze as well. So the Urquaze is really nice, little addition to the team. And then we have our level 5s in case I brain control something and then synchro summon with it with Krebon's here. And then we have the Armory Arm because we play Prodigy, and that allows us to really capitalize on the level 2 monsters. Okay, and that was pretty much the extra deck. Let's go into the sideboard. Sideboard, I play the 2D Crows. Yes, because in case I play against the combo decks and I want to go and I'm going second against them, I want to have something to interact with them. In the local tournament, I did side this against Norlaris, and I was able to crow away their Value Turbo after they resolved their before they resolved their Norlaris on the chain, so that they have no follow-up play for the following turn, or for the following move. Sorry, the glare was kind of killing me, so I'm going to try to do it this way with the slightly darker room. I sided Decree. Again, you can side deck continuous trap cards in this particular build of Frogs. It's not really Frogs, but it's a Monarch. And so a lot of people side deck, the Pulling the Rugs, the Master Restrict. And so having those two continuous trap cards be in the format means that you can use the Royal Decree to your advantage, because you could just lock out their trap cards. So yeah, you can be aggressive with Royal Decree. A really aggressive trap card because you can just do your combo play. 2 Dust Tornado in case I wanted to hit Deck Devastation Virus in games 2 and 3. But for the most part, I didn't side this card too much unless I played against Blackwings, but I didn't really play against Blackwings as much. I'm mostly siding these for Blackwings as well. Decree is really good against Blackwings because you can lock out their Icarus attack, even their Jar Greed sometimes. So yeah, there's that. And again, to stop the combo decks from popping off, True Nade Sweepers, you can just use the T-Roar in response to their giant True Nade plays, and they can just chain this card and they can't kill you. So that's kind of the idea. I also side this against Lightsworns as well because a lot of times when they're saving their power spells, I'll just chain this card and then they can't kill me the next turn, so I get another turn to live eventually. And then that means I also get to summon the Vanity's Fiend, so I can stop them from tribute summoning the next turn, or they're doing their big plays the next turn. 2 Cyber Dragon because if you contact fusion, you're hard winning, but it's also a tribute fodder too. So if you're going second, you can special summon the Cyber Dragon and then tribute summon right away. It's just like a Prodigy almost, except it's a machine monster and not a hero monster. So the theory that I want to talk about was the Stallos. So anytime you play a deck that normal summons a lot, that special summons like very sparingly, the Stalls is better than Vanity's Fiend. So in the event that you're playing against a non-combo deck, I think the Stalls has a lot more utility than one might think, because you're able to snipe away follow-up plays. So if you're able to Soul Exchange and then tribute off a hamster for the Stalls, you can hit a card out of their hand, and usually sometimes those are follow-up cards like spell cards or monster cards that allow them to come back in the game. So the Stalos is very underlooked. I feel like he needs to come back in Frog Monarchs, especially because the meta can shift to a point where it's more normal summon reliant as opposed to special summon. But for now, I side deck him because, like I said before, because of Forks and Gigabytes. One Soul Release. I don't find Soul Release to be useful in this particular deck because it's aggressive deck. So going forward, I probably will cut Soul Release, but for the most part, it is to hit these Lightsworn decks. And I did resolve against Lightsworn, but I didn't win that game because Wolf was just too good. And if they resolve Wolf, Soul Release doesn't do anything. So I just couldn't deal with one Wolf for some reason. And then Arcus as well. So Arcus and Wolf are like two really great tag team partners to deal with the Soul Exchange deck. So yeah, going forward, I will find a way to deal with Arcus going in the future. And then we have the two Smashing Ground. In the event that people side deck Vanity's Fiend against me or Falsodyna, I just needed something to out it. But also is really good against like decks that like have really big monsters, and the monsters you draw don't necessarily deal with it, like Caius. Let's say you don't draw Caius or Ryza, then Smashing Grounds probably prefer to deal with those monsters. But anyways, yeah, that was my prototype. I should have said that in the beginning of the video that I was going to have gameplay stitched to the video. But instead, I'm going to make it a separate video because I forgot to say it. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and the prototype that I want to include. And going forward, if I do want to invite prototypes to the channel, I probably will, as opposed to doing locals report essentially and seeing if I do well with it, because it creates a barrier to entry, and I think those barrier to entries are stifling innovation as well as diversity. So this channel is meant to show diversity in the competitive sense for retro format. So yeah, that's my identity, and hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys on the next video, and hopefully you guys will check out the gameplay video and see how this deck can function. All right, peace out.